Dear Lord, we come to you asking for forgiveness and direction in our decisions. In a world where we put all of our trust in you, our community puts their trust in us to lead, make our city stronger, and make their lives better. As we consider change, let us remember all that you have given for us and move our community forward with your direction. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
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 First item on the agenda is a series of special presentations, and first is North Carolina League of Municipalities Police Department Risk Assessment Report, and Joseph Graziano will be coming forward to make the presentation.
How you guys doing this evening?
Well, thank you.
All right. I'd like to thank the mayor and the board for their time in recognizing their police department this evening. My name is Joe Graziano. I'm the senior public safety risk management consultant. What that means is I get the privilege of working with our police departments across the state. And this is one of the highlights. You know, the police are in a negative light a lot with the news, but having the opportunity to kind of showcase them in front of their board and their residents is truly an honor. So tonight I'm going to recognize them for completing the risk review. For those of you that are not aware of what it is, it's a comprehensive agency review of over 40 high-risk, high-liability areas to ensure the agency adheres to best practices and industry standards. Some of the areas include police pursuits, use of force, employment practices, training, and much more. And the steps in this process include an off-site, in-depth policy review, on-site agency assessment that includes equipment and facility inspections, officer interviews, and observation of daily operations. Tonight, I'm proud to report that the Albemarle Police Department has completed the law enforcement risk review process to add to their agency's achievements. At the League, we represent several hundred police departments, and to kind of put this into context, a little over 200 have pledged to complete this process, and we're only at just over 90 have completed it. So it's a rigorous process, and it's not accreditation. It's not meant to replace CALEA, but it's based on, like I said, the high risk, high liability. So I'd like to applaud them and Chief Dunn and the staff members prioritize this initiative. They're wonderful to work with. They were very open, transparent, and receptive during this process. I'd like to thank their willingness to participate, and your agency has shown a dedication to the community by adhering to best practices and enhancing police professionals. Chief? Chiefs, plural.
Chief Dunn and Chief
Plural.
Manley, both of you come forward, please.
I'd like for that staff that's here tonight also to step forward because it takes everyone for this. So
For the pleasure of the board, so North Carolina League of Municipalities recognizes the Albemarle Police Department for completing the law enforcement risk management review and proactively serving the community in a professional manner while taking steps to minimize risks to your citizens and officers. Chief?
Yeah.
Reference. Reference.
I want to say thank you to the entire police department for working on this and making this a reality. Thank you very much. Next is introduce Police Chief Ryan Manley, and our Manager Todd Clark's going to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I wanted to come to the podium so that you all could see me, and Ryan can join me in just a moment. I am pleased to announce that Ryan Manley has been selected as our new police chief, and Ryan's first day was today. Just to tell you a little bit about the process and a little bit about Ryan, we had 55 applicants total for the position. It was a very rigorous assessment process that we went through with 3 different interview panels for those who were selected to be interviewed. So Ryan really stepped up and did a wonderful job. I don't want to be remiss, and I want to say thank you to Penny Dunn. I'm not sure if Penny's still here, but she did a marvelous job in the interim process. She helped us resolve some things that were outstanding, including the risk assessment. So I can't say enough good things about Penny. And Penny, thank you for what you've done for us. So yes, Ryan had a very difficult challenge to get through the interview process, but he did very well. Chief Manley earned a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and Political Science from the State University of New York College at Brockport. He moved to North Carolina to pursue a career in criminal justice, beginning as a counselor technician for the Department of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. After completing basic law enforcement training at Sampson Community College, he joined the Fayetteville Police Department as a police officer in 2002, where he has been employed ever since. And so he's coming to us from Fayetteville. Chief Manley launched his career in the Patrol Bureau, where he cultivated strong leadership skills and a commitment to mentorship. He excelled as a field training officer, helping shape the next generation of officers, before transitioning to the Investigative Bureau as a narcotics detective and later becoming a K-9 handler. He earned a promotion to sergeant, where he effectively supervised the Crime Information Center and the Fraud Unit. He commanded units within the Patrol and Support Services bureaus as a lieutenant. Chief Manley has also completed the North Carolina Justice Academy's Management Development Program and earned the Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate from the North Carolina Training and Standards Commission. Additionally, he holds a Master of Science in Criminal Justice from Fayetteville State University. He additionally was selected in 2023 for the National Institute of Justice's Law Enforcement Advancing Data and Science Leads Scholarship Program, which aims to improve law enforcement's research capabilities through evidence-based policing. Chief Manley also graduated from the 290th session of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia, which is known for its rigorous 10 weeks training in communication, leadership, and fitness for law enforcement professionals. The program is offered by invitation only to law enforcement officers worldwide, and fewer than 1% of law enforcement officers are selected to attend. So based on Ryan's commitment with over 20 years of experience with Fayetteville Police Department, his credentials, his education, his practical experience, that's what qualified him to be selected as our next police chief. I'm not going to call individuals by name, but we did have folks outside of our organization participating in the interview process, representing our senior adult community, our Black community, also individuals with law enforcement themselves with different organizations, different municipalities, as well as a deputy city manager from a nearby community. So we had a very well-rounded process. Very pleased with the outcome. So with that, I'm going to introduce Ryan, if you'll come forward. Congratulations. We are going to have a ceremonial swearing in on February 20th, which I can talk about a little bit later. But with that, Ryan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. The Mayor Peremptor, members of the council, this is an honor and a privilege. I guess you could say this is the pinnacle of my aspirations in this profession. It's very humbling. Over the past few weeks, I've got to know the men and women of my agency, and they're an amazing group of men and women. They're very dedicated to this community. I have taken it upon myself to make sure that I'm going to meet with each and every one of my employees to make sure that we have the best interests of this community and the city moving forward. It's important that building relationships with our community and to build those partnerships with the stakeholders within the community is instrumental to the success of our police department. There are many challenges that we're going to face. And I'm not going to admit that that's going to be easy, but I'm confident that the men and women that work with our agency are up for the task. Chief Dunn, she was able to help me navigate some of the things coming in that have really allowed me to be successful quickly. Without her, I don't know where I would be. She is, thank you. she's amazing. Chief Dunn's amazing. But I think it's important that your police department is here for the community. We are here to represent every one of our citizens and really, really affect the public safety of this community. Thank you.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Chief.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Next, I want to call Chief Kendall forward, and he is going to introduce our new Assistant Fire Chief, Brad Jenkins.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. On January 23rd, the Albemarle Fire Department held an assessment center for the position of Assistant Fire Chief. Chief Jenkins has progressively served the department for the past 25 years. For the past 9 years, he has served as a battalion chief in the fire department. Chief Jenkins has risen through the ranks, starting first as a firefighter in year 2000. Chief Jenkins is very qualified for the position that he is getting. Chief Jenkins has worked in the city of Albemarle for a quarter of a century, and he is deeply committed to serving his community. He has prepared himself for the role and is deeply passionate about advancing the safety and the success of the department and the city of Albemarle. So with that, I am happy to announce, as the fire chief, that Brad Jenkins has been promoted from battalion chief to assistant fire chief.
Mayor, council, staff. I look forward to working alongside of Chief Kendall and the challenges that this city faces that with growth and development that we have. Look forward to working with our department. I'd like to thank my wife and daughter for their continued support throughout my career. And I would also like to thank the gentleman that's in the back. They have been with me a lot of the 9 years, and they've made my job easy. So it's the employees like this that honestly make us look good. So they need to be recognized as well. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, and
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Yep. Congratulations.
Gotta have something for the newspaper. Gotta have something for the newspaper.
Next is approval of minutes. Approval of the January 14th, 2025 special session, January 21st, 2025 regular session, and January 21st, 2025 closed sessions for real estate and consult with attorney.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Aldridge, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're going to move into a public hearing. Ordinance 2509, a public hearing to abandon a portion of Anderson Road, and I'll ask staff to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. James Nolan has requested the abandonment of a approximately 0.73 acre piece of right-of-way on Anderson Road. If you'll see on here, this is the old portion of Anderson Road. This is the new portion where DOT has rerouted it to the roundabout. They have left this pretty much vacant right now. He's requested this be abandoned with 25 feet on this side going to him, and then 25 feet going to the NCDOT property and the VFW property there.
Kevin, is there any water, sewer, anything in there?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, their water and sewer lines do run through there, and they have included on here as well that there would be an easement on those.
So the easement is in their paperwork already.
Yes.
And both NCDOT and the VFW have acknowledged that they will take it.
It has been advertised. We haven't received an acknowledgement, but it's been advertised.
Who will own it?
Be abandoned. It would go to the 25 feet right here would go to the petitioner, and then the other 25 feet would go to each of them.
It goes to the underlying property owners who owned it originally.
That's
And-
the reason
and
I
who
just asked
has-
that question.
And whomever who has the deed to the property.
Further questions of staff? This is a public hearing. Anyone who cares to speak for or against, please come forward. Mr. Nolan, you did sign up. Did you want to speak?
Sign company, Mayor, gentlemen. This is new to me, so bear with me.
Pull the mic
Mr. Nolan,
down
if you,
just a little.
yeah, pull your mic down. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
I own a business on that corner, have for 20 years. Some of my clients, I'm in the sign business. Some of my clients are JC Food, Garmin Mechanical. I could go on. My problem is this property from the abandonment, I've been without a sign for 7 years. I'm a sign business with no sign.
That's not good.
Because of the road.
The gas company ran a gas line right in front of my building, just left. I lost a 1,000 square foot building to the roundabout and the widening. The only place I've got left that I can put my sign back up is on the abandonment because of the gas line being where it is, and I can show you that too.
Yeah, I do.
20 years that I've worked hard, paid my taxes.
Yep.
And now, with everything finished, the gas line runs here, and a water line runs here. The only place left on the property that I can put my sign back up is on the abandonment. And that was in lieu of Mr. Robinson and Mike Crump, the head engineer with Blight over the project.
So does the gas line not run on down the street across the abandoned piece?
It was on the abandoned road.
Uh-huh.
For some reason, they came in and filled it with concrete and ran it across the front of me and then joined it. I guess they wanted to be on the new.
So it doesn't go across that abandoned piece? The gas line doesn't go across the abandoned piece of property on the road, on the street there?
No, sir.
Okay.
The water line is on my side of the abandoned road. The sewer line is still on the opposite side. That would be the DOT and the DFW.
Right.
So the only thing on my side is the water line. But the issue is, I have to
Going back to the microphone where everybody can hear you. That's fine.
the issue for me is that it's a requirement that the sign be 3 feet from the gas line. And on the other side, it would be 3 feet from my water line and from the water line on the street or the abandoned street. So I have no other issue than the fact that I can't have a sign unless I get the abandonment. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak for or against?
Move the public hearing be closed.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Council, what do you want to do with ordinance
Move
2509?
move to approve ordinance 2509.
Motion by Councilmember Dry to approve ordinance 2509, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion?
Just a question of staff. So Kevin, you indicated that DOT and the VFW had been noticed to that they were getting this, but you had no response from them. Is that
No, I've
correct?
received no response from them.
But you know that they were noticed,
That's right.
okay?
There's also been signage, it's been in the paper too, so,
But they received service,
yes.
okay?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Moving, I have no agenda adjustments. Moving to public comments. I have two that have signed up for unannounced. On Matt Tracy, 1214 Carolyn Drive, to speak about senior housing on the Northeast Connector. Yes, sir, come forward.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, my name is Matt Tracy. I live on 1214 Carolyn Drive, Albemarle. It's off of Moss Springs between the connector and East Main. And my mom was interested in finding a place that senior housing that's at market rates. None of these Section 8 or government subsidized or any of that kind of good stuff, just market rate. And so she asked me to see if you all had any good leads on places in town, or if there's anybody going to build any of these type places.
There is a senior village to be built behind Walmart if they ever start. It's going to be one section, about 160 apartments just for seniors, but I do not know when they're going to start.
Okay, well, I'll tell her that tomorrow when I talk to her. And on the connector, I was kind of concerned about, first of all, with coming from Moss Springs, my side of Moss Springs, going the connector, the traffic's kind of fast. And I think the speed limit's 55, and I was thinking maybe they should lower it to 45 from the Baden Road on up to at least the second roundabout, not the one on Ridge, but the other one.
Mr. Tracy, that is, part of that is DOT, part of that is in the city, but the entire road is DOT. And I will tell you, they started out with 45 and did their studies and said it needed to be raised to 55. So any request for a reduction could go to them, but I don't know that they would do anything because they did their studies and said it should be 55.
Okay.
And part of the connector, Mayor, is, it
Right at
changes
the
through.
school,
Yeah,
right at
it
the school.
changes through there, 35, 45, and 55 from one end of the connector to the other.
Okay, and that roundabout near where I live at, a lot of the people on the connector that are driving on the connector, they seem to think like they own the right of way when the right of way is supposed to be for the people that are actually in the connector at the time when you're driving up towards the thing. It seems like a lot of those folks don't understand that or realize that, or whatever the reason is. And it's kind of hard to get on the thing if you're coming off of Ridge Street to get on the connector. I got a little map if anybody needs to see.
We know exactly where you're talking about. Yes, sir.
And one solution I thought was to put some traffic calming devices on both sides of the roundabout, to at least slow the people down when they're coming towards it. I got a little picture of the difference between a speed bump and a traffic calming device is, if anybody wants to see it. I drew it up.
Sure, I'll be glad to look at it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, you can talk to, there again, with DOT. That's DOT streets, not ours.
Department
You
of
can talk to
Transportation.
them. I don't know of many calming devices on any state-approved street, so you would have to talk to them.
feel like not a room.
I understand. Thank you very much. But I just encourage you to reach out to DOT if you want to discuss it, since it's over on, East Main, on,
West Main.
West Main Street. All right, thank you.
Sir, there has been an increased law enforcement presence at the bottom of that hill coming down Ridge Street. I think, Bill, you could probably share more on that, living in that neighborhood, but I've seen it more in the last 3 months than the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Trends on that.
Well, that's a dangerous intersection coming up to the roundabout, as well as getting into the development over to the left as you're coming out towards the connector. Thank you for your time.
This morning, I had a citizen complain that there were 3 police cars there, and he got a ticket, and he was upset about it, but.
You should have gotten 3.
Yeah,
He
that's
didn't get
right.
one from
That was
One from each officer.
Next is Dieter Hackenbrock, 1202 Carolyn Drive. Again, talk about Northeast Connector speed.
I was going to ask about the same thing about the connector speed. And my nephew already asked you a question. The only thing I'm worried about is the connector is, most of it is within the city limit. And why would you have a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit within the city limit? That I don't understand. So would you have to make a recommendation to the Department of Transportation?
Yes, and
to
I
the
will
state?
tell you that many years ago, when DOT did their study, council at that time recommended going to 50.
Well, it was 45 a long time
Yeah,
ago.
when they put it in, it was 45,
Yeah,
and then it went to 55. You're
Okay.
right. Yes, sir.
that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, ordinance 2510, a budget amendment for the acquisition of 116-118 South 4th Street, and ordinance 2511, a budget amendment for the Capital Fund Program Award for the 2024 year for public housing.
Move approval.
Motion by Councilmember Bramlett, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to new business, 9A, amendment for professional services agreement, and I believe Darren Rhodes is going to make that presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council. What you have before you is a amendment for 90-day extension for a contract for unit turnaround and repair services at public housing. Along with this amendment are certain performance requirements, namely that 26 units will be turned around within this 90-day period extension, and that liquidated damages of up to $200 per day would be the penalty for not meeting these requirements.
Council, this is an amendment to an existing agreement that was due to expire this week, and we asked for the liquidated damages, and that's added to it too.
So out of the 26, how many
Yeah.
are completed thus far?
Thus far, 19 are completed.
26 more, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it'd be-
45 total he's
Okay.
got.
Right,
Okay.
in addition to those 19, 26 additional units would be completed.
I was going to ask the same question because we have had some, they've reported that some were done. So this is 26 new ones.
That is correct.
Mayor,
I'm-
Council, excuse me.
No,
Mr.
no,
Chairman.
I'm just glad to see us do
Me
something
too.
like this, to put the pressure on. We've had discussions with them just verbally,
That's right.
but now this sort of drives the nail into the wood. Won't say the other.
Clark, go ahead.
Yes, sir, thank you. The original contract, the existing contract as of today, which expires today, is for an automatic 1-year renewal.
Oh.
This reduces it to 90 days, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. We are also working with an architect to draft specifications for sewer line improvements, which we will bid out in a bid document, seeking another contractor to finish the work on the remaining units. We expect to have that within the next month. We do want to make sure what we're bidding out is we're going to get apples to apples
Right.
responses. So that is the next step in this, is to rebid this out to see if someone else is qualified and able to facilitate the construction and repair process much faster. Along with that, we do have money in the appropriated budget for this year for a construction manager, which we would like to proceed to hire. That's our intention. And once that person's on staff, it would guarantee that we have someone who is monitoring the work to make sure it's being carried out in a timely fashion. That position is funded through the general fund. It is not funded through public housing. So just a couple extra pieces of information.
Is that July 1?
Now, it would be effective as soon as we hire someone.
So we've got, it's open now.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it has not been advertised, but it's forthcoming.
And is that, crazy question here, is that something just to the end of June, or is that moving forward?
It's a permanent full-time
Okay,
position.
gotcha. But it's city money.
Yes, ma'am. And it would.
We need to take action.
I'm open to a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the amendment to the professional services agreement.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Bramlett, second by Councilmember Dry. Mr. Townsend.
Just one more question. And I assume that Surpass and Department of Public Housing have already, I guess, verbally came to terms on this, you know.
We have discussed this, but until council adopts it and it's signed by Surpass, it will not be effective.
Right, but verbally, everybody's on board. Okay.
And council was talked to them, since this is a different agreement.
The agreement
contract.
was reviewed by
Council.
legal.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
9B, consider recommendation for award of RFQ 2025-01 for general engineering and surveying services, and I think Jay is going to make that presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. I wanted to do a brief presentation with you tonight to give you some insight on what this RFQ is intended for. It may be somewhat unfamiliar with what Albemarle has done in the past in terms of engineering and surveying services. Also included in your agenda should be the actual recommendation from the selection committee for the firms that would be selected for this, but this is supplemental to that. So the purpose of a general engineering and surveying services agreement, this is also commonly referred to as on-call. So when a need is identified, we would have a list of pre-qualified firms to assist us with whatever we needed assistance with. It serves as an extension of staff. It provides timely access to qualified engineers for maintenance and improvement to aging infrastructure, support during a period of significant growth, assistance with funding applications and early preliminary project development, and emergency response for infrastructure failures or urgent needs. This is not intended to replace the RFQ process for significant capital projects. So with anything related to engineering, architectural services at the city, also with North Carolina general statutes, it has to be compliant with the Minnie Brooks Act, which requires qualification-based selection processes for those services. This agreement does not override or replace that. It actually allows us to meet that requirement whenever we have an identified engineering need. Separate RFQs will be issued for significant capital projects. These agreements are intended to support operations and compliance with procurement laws. So the agreements will be used in this manner. It'll be used for engineering support as needed. This will be for utility services, public works or utilities projects, and smaller scale city initiatives. It'll be for planning studies, preliminary designs, permitting assistance, and system modeling. It'll be used for project preparation and funding assistance. It would help us secure grants by preparing engineering-related documents for those identified projects. It allows for proactive planning for larger projects, and it also allows for owner advisor services when we have a larger project identified to help with that onboarding process. It also provides for emergency response. It provides quick access to engineering services for urgent repairs and ensures the city can act swiftly in critical situations. Just a side note on that, this was really important in other municipalities that have these agreements in place when Hurricane Helene came through. They had a lot of utility services that were impacted, and they had a list of pre-qualified engineers that were able to react very quickly. So this is how the agreements will not be used. It's not a replacement for RFQs on those major capital projects. All significant capital projects will still go through the standard RFQ selection process. This is not a sole source or an exclusive contract. Multiple firms are pre-qualified and engaged based on their expertise and specific needs. Construction contract bidding requirements still must be met. So even if we did have a small engineering project that we identified out of this, if it was something that we were to put out to bid to an external contractor, we would still have to put that out for bid as normal. And projects over certain values still come to city council for approval per our local procurement policy.
How much is that amount?
So the any engineering services that is over 50,000 is required to go through that process. Yeah. And I believe construction and repair contracts is right at 300,000, if I'm not mistaken. The benefits of general engineering and surveying services agreements: faster response to engineering needs. It reduces delays in addressing infrastructure issues. Improved readiness for emergencies ensures immediate support when urgent issues arise. Better planning and funding opportunities. It helps position the city for grants and future projects. And compliance with procurement laws. Maintains full adherence to the Minnie Brooks Act and qualification-based selection. I just put out a list of examples in other municipalities that have the very same agreements in place. This is not a comprehensive list, but these are cities that we are either also electric cities inside of our agency, or there are other cities that are similar in size to us. So next steps in discussion. What we're seeking tonight is city council support for approval of the recommended selection of award. The approval allows for staff to begin contract negotiations with these firms. Contracts will be negotiated as a zero value master services agreement. And what that essentially means is when this agreement is awarded, once it's negotiated, there's a $0 amount to it. So there's no monetary placement in the value of this contract. When a project or a need is identified as part of this master services agreement, that's when a task order is issued, and that's where a proposal is received for the cost of that particular need. And again, if it is over those threshold requirements, it would come to city council for that approval. But having this RFQ in place and awarded on the front end basically eliminates having to go through this step for every single engineering need that's identified.
So
Yes, ma'am.
tonight, there is no money. We're not talking about money tonight.
Exactly correct.
That's because when you said there was something attached on here, there was not. Okay, very good. No
The,
money attached.
The reason that I'm here tonight seeking your support for it is because it is a multi-year contract. So identified in the RFQ is a 5-year term with two 1-year auto renewals, and that can be changed as needed as well. And work will be issued through task orders by public utilities and engineering staff. And I'm happy to open this up to any questions. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Hall, you said that there was nothing attached to the agenda.
No, we just have a cover sheet.
Okay, there should have been a memo attached
No,
with
No,
we
this
don't
on
have
here.
that.
Okay.
No.
No.
So with that being said, there are 7 firms that were recommended for award. I'll go ahead and name those off. And this is in order from highest scoring from the selection committee to the lowest scoring on the selection committee. First is Garver Engineering, LKC Engineering, Withers Ravenel, Southeastern Consulting Engineers, GHD Engineering, McGill and Associates, and Chambers Engineering. Those are the 7 firms that we were recommending award.
All, may I? All with different expertise, is I understood the record, yeah.
That's correct. So this will solve multiple disciplines, electric distribution being one of them, water, wastewater resources being another one of them, and also general civil design, land development, disciplines of that sort. So they're not all, I use this term softly, they're not all competent in each of those disciplines.
Right,
They're selected based on their expertise within those disciplines.
And that's the reason I mentioned there was no attachment, but you've answered.
And I apologize for that. I truly thought it was uploaded.
That's okay. Thank you.
Further question, comment? I'll entertain a motion. That's the way you
So move.
choose. Motion by Councilmember Hall, second by Councilmember Bramlett. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, you have updates?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Some of the information I'm going to provide tonight is supplemental to the monthly reports that you receive from department heads. But just some things I wanted to call to your attention. On Wednesday of this week, we're going to be meeting, we being the mayor and staff and I are going to be meeting with NCDOT concerning traffic signal cross arms downtown. They've indicated that they want to go back with pedestal arms, and so we're going to have a conversation about that and restoring back to the original mast arms. Of course, this will be NCDOT. It's their funding, and we will have to see what they have to say in terms of funding from the city side. But at any rate, I wanted just you to be aware that we're having that conversation with NCDOT. There's also a culmination of various studies that are coming that you're familiar with. In the next 60 days, we'll be getting reports on these. One is the initial analysis of the solid waste and recycling study from Raftelis. And then second, our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which is being completed by McGill and Associates, will be completed as well. So those will be coming to you for consideration. I had mentioned Ryan Manley's ceremonial swearing in. We are planning that for February 20th at 3:00 p.m. We have not decided on a location. I assume it will be at the police department, but we will be sure to ensure that that's on your calendars. Later that evening, we also have Stanley County Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. February 26th, you have the NCLM Town and State Dinner in Raleigh. And we have tentatively set March 18th. I know I had originally said March 4th for a meeting for wrapping up our strategic planning program. Also, providing results of our staffing study and initial financial outlook from First Tryon for FY26. That has been moved to March 18th. So those are some things that wanted to make sure that you're aware of that we'd be discussing on March 18th as a special meeting.
So cancel March 4th?
No.
No?
Council, March 4th, when you just heard the studies that he has to do, would council be okay with go ahead and hold the March 4th meeting and let's hear the parks, Ralph tell us, and I think there's one more thing. Go ahead and do those that night, and
We've
then,
got something March 4th, Electric Cities. I've got it on my calendar.
I don't know what that would be. March 4th was our budget. The
That was
presentation, but
the-
that's
yeah,
what he's
yeah,
wanting to move to
right.
March 18th.
Yes, sir.
But if council's in agreement, let's keep the March 4th date and hear all these other studies at one time if council would be in agreement with that. Can we start about 5:30? Everybody be able to start about 5:30 that night? March 4th?
Be a
We
little
can go
late.
to 6. I just think you'll be here a couple hours.
I think you need to talk to the folks that are
Yeah,
out.
I'm looking at the ones that are working.
Yeah. We close at 5:30, so I'll be here within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't mind staying a little later, we can still do 6. It's just probably.
No, that's fine.
If we could just at least reserve that date, if we're not able to meet that date, at least we've got it on the calendar, Mayor.
All right, we're gonna continue to keep March 4th on, and now you also got March 18th now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything further?
I know it was expressed that council wanted a public housing update. If there's any other questions that we can answer about public housing tonight as part of the manager's report, be happy to do that. Otherwise, that concludes it, Mayor.
Thank you. Anything further, council?
Just to follow up to the public housing, I had asked Todd about that. And I think tonight cleaned up a little bit of it with the new contract and getting that many people and being able to hold the contractor accountable. I guess I go back, there was a list at one point that HUD said that we needed to finish and all that kind of thing. I would like to go back and look at that at some point. Okay, I think there's just an ounce.
I believe Darren can actually answer that question for you right now.
Good. Thank you.
Great timing. We received a letter from HUD late last week informing us that the corrective action plan that was issued in June of 2022 that had a number of findings in it, we are in full compliance.
Great.
And the reason I bring that up is that I was going through some old things at my house, and I found a note, or I found some notes that I'd taken from February of 22, and those were the same kinds of things. So that makes me happy. Yes, because that 3 years. That's good.
We tend to spend a lot of time on public housing. Seems to be a major issue And I noticed now it's hit the national scene. Apparently, the president is concerned about people living in public housing more than 2 years. Do we have anybody who lives in public housing more than 2 years?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
Why?
Wow.
Because
No, because part of, and this is, I've asked that, okay? Because part of what public housing needs to do is to have an educational component that moves them out of public.
Yeah,
housing.
that's what it's for, was
Well,
originally for.
And we just have, we've never been consistent in that and providing everything that needs to be provided. I mean, we've got people that have lived there 2 generations.
You're kidding.
We've got, I think.
And that, we're not alone. That
that's
act serves
everywhere.
public housing everywhere.
It's a public service. And we shouldn't lose sight of that.
We don't.
Anything further?
Uh,
Council have anything else come forth?
Yeah, and I think that we've got to be, it's not public housing, thank you. We've got to be very cognizant of the impact, and I mentioned this to Todd last week, about the grants and the funding that the federal government is slashing or has talked about slashing. And I asked him last week, and he said, we're already on it, talking about the impact, the fiscal impact, those kinds of things will do to Albemarle, to us. And what's not, and so I don't know, I should have mentioned that I was going to ask that tonight, but do we,
Yeah, I have surveyed staff and I've gotten responses from everyone. I'll assemble that information
Very
and get that
good.
to you tomorrow.
thank you very much.
Mayor, when we have reports from department heads like we have tonight, are we to assume that that has the backing of the city manager?
Yes, if it comes to us, the city manager's already approved
Gotcha.
it coming.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A, 5, to consult with the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dry, second by Councilmember Hunt. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Take your toys.
Yeah.